What if the thing you're most self-conscious about every single morning isn't actually a problem your body has? What if it's a problem an advertising agency invented on purpose in 1919 to sell you something? That's not a conspiracy theory. That's the actual, documented origin story of deodorant. One of the only products in history where we can point to the exact ad, the exact year, and the exact sentence that convinced an entire country it had a medical condition it never knew it had. Before we get to that ad, we need to go back further, because for most of human history, smelling like a human being was just fine. Ancient Egyptians dealt with body odor the way they dealt with most things, with elaborate luxury. Wealthy Egyptians wore cones of scented wax on top of their heads that slowly melted in the heat, releasing perfume all day long. The Greeks and Romans went a more practical route. Alum, a mineral with astringent properties, rubbed directly onto the skin to cut down on sweat and smell. It worked well enough that some version of it stuck around for 2,000 years. But here's the key thing. None of this was driven by shame. It was hygiene, the same category as bathing or brushing your hair. Nobody thought their natural scent might cost them a marriage or a job. That idea, the idea that body odor was a personal failing, didn't exist yet. Fast forward to Victorian-era America, and things were still pretty relaxed by comparison. People bathed when they could, dabbed on perfume or talcum powder, and that was considered more than sufficient. Talking about sweat glands in polite company, on the other hand, was borderline scandalous. So in 1888, when an unknown inventor in Philadelphia trademarked a zinc oxide paste called Mum, the world's first commercial deodorant, almost nobody cared. It sat in drugstores next to products nobody wanted to be seen buying. 15 years later, in 1903, a product called Everdry went further. It used aluminum chloride to physically block sweat glands rather than just fight the bacteria that cause odor, the first true antiperspirant. It also happened to be so acidic it could eat through fabric. Still, barely anyone was buying. The product that finally broke through wasn't invented to sell anything at all. Around 1909, a Cincinnati surgeon named Abraham Murphy developed a liquid formula to keep his own hands dry during operations. It had nothing to do with underarms.
His teenage daughter Edna tried a little under her arms one hot day, almost as an experiment, and noticed it worked. She convinced her father to let her turn it into a business. She named it Odorono. Odor? Oh no. It should have been an easy sell. It wasn't. Murphy borrowed $150 from her grandfather, rented a tiny office, then had to move the whole operation into her parents' basement because her door-to-door saleswomen weren't selling a thing. Drugstores refused to stock it or returned it unsold. In 1912, Odorono got one last shot, a booth at the Atlantic City Exposition. At first, it flopped there too. But the exposition ran all summer, the heat never let up, and sweat-soaked attendees started actually noticing the product. By the end of the summer, Murphy had $30,000 in sales and customers across the country. But $30,000 wasn't enough to build an industry. What actually did that was a decision Murphy made in 1919, hiring a copywriter named James Webb Young to fix her advertising. And Young didn't sell a product. He engineered an emotion. Young placed an ad in Ladies' Home Journal built around a fictional scenario. A woman who has no idea why men have stopped pursuing her, until a friend finally, gently tells her the truth about her own body odor. The ad didn't use the phrase body odor. It invented a euphemism designed to sound clinical and unavoidable, a phrase that made